Welcome back, guys. And I know it's been a long time since I last uploaded, but to be honest, the sleeper is not really much of a secret anymore. The car almost always gets recognized these days. You can't really surprise someone that knows what's coming. Coupled together with the fact that the car scene in my area is either dying, if not already dead. Don't get me wrong, there's still some pretty die-hard car people around here, and you could definitely find some meets with some very clean and fast cars. But outside of those pre-arranged car meets, it's getting increasingly difficult to find car enthusiasts out in the wild. So it feels like the odds of running into another car enthusiast are just getting lower and lower. Of course, that doesn't mean I can't make other kinds of content, but you guys know my style. It just doesn't feel right to upload something that feels kind of just thrown together, or something very basic that doesn't have some spice to it. With that being said, I would really appreciate if you guys could help me out down in the comments, letting me know what kind of content you guys want to see. From reading all my comments, the most popular request is a full build breakdown, or maybe a simple parts video, and I think I'm going to combine both of those into one episode in the future. But for right now, I'm really excited to bring you guys this episode. So for those of you that stick around, this is what you can expect to see. First off, I blow my motor. Then we quickly swap another one back in there. And in the process of doing so, I find some surprise damage that a welder can't fix. And finally, when it's ready to go, do we turn it down and baby it? Nah, more boost and we hold it at red line doing a burnout. I hope you guys enjoy. Usually when I'm driving the car around, I do like to boost it here and there randomly. You know, it's pretty addicting. With that being said, I finally got to experience my first catastrophic mechanical failure. I didn't catch the exact moment when it started happening on video, but I did record when it snapped. Long story short, I decided to boost it uphill. I'm thinking I oil starved the engine because after I got to the top of the hill, it started making this violent ticking noise. The car still ran, but it was ticking extremely loud. You know, it's obvious something's wrong. Eventually we took it back to the house, tore it apart, and this is what happened. In my brief stage of denial, I was kind of just hoping, you know, the starter chipped a tooth or something fell into the clutch. But after inspecting as much as I could without actually taking the engine out or taking it apart, we decided to put it back together and just rev it, see what happens. And full warning, if your engine is ever making noises, the best idea is to never turn it back on and go ahead and pull it, crack it open, and inspect it. That way you don't cause any more unnecessary damage. But for me, I don't know, I just like to send it. So we're just gonna rev it until we find it or it blows. Whoa. This is what happened.
What was that? Is that the piston? You get that on camera? I think so. That shit was loud. I think it bent around.
Alright, YouTube, I don't know if you just heard that, but it's been making a clicking noise and it just made a loud ass clank and seized. What's my air fuel ratio?
That's just at 14 right now, bro.
14 points. I just blew it on camera, YouTube. I guess whatever just clicked was something snapping.
The turbo spins up.
Where's my cam? I guess it snapped or either came off. Oh yeah. What is this?
It cracked.
Wow. I think that was that loud pop. Golly. Okay. Well. Okay, so at this point it's pretty obvious that the motor is actually done. I contemplated for a little while just switching out the head really quick and leaving the engine in there, but we can take it out pretty fast, and I do have the other spare motor as always. It's always running healthy, so I said, you know, I'll just fix this one when it's on the engine stand to take my time with it. I won't rush it, and at the same time the car will be running using the other motor. So we got to it right away and started yanking it out. And except for the motor mounts, the axles are the last thing holding the engine in there. And now that we have the motor out, we're just going to take the transmission and the clutch off, ready to transfer it to the next motor. Out of curiosity, we decided to take out the cam to figure out why it snapped, and this is the damage we ended up finding. The cam practically welded itself to the head, but we'll get more into that on an episode where I rebuild that motor. This is all reliable. Stock motor, can't boost it too much, but it's bulletproof. This one has a fly on it, so I don't want it. After dropping the motor in, the first thing I like to do is spread out the wiring harness and just lay it out where it's going to go. I know on screen wiring looks a little hectic and complicated, but honestly it reminds me of those children's toys with the shapes. You can't really get it wrong because the connectors aren't going to plug into the wrong spot. It just won't let you click it in. Fresh gasket to throw the intake on there real quick. There you go. After this motor mount comes the exhaust manifold, but I did find a surprise right before installing it. So I noticed this line, it kind of goes in line with an exhaust leak. I'm thinking that's one of the welds that cracked. Oh brother. Definitely can't put it back in the car like that, so let's start taking it apart right away to see what the damage is. Yep. Just what I didn't want. So I've always known that this kind of wrap is famous for cracking manifolds, but this is my first time seeing it firsthand, so I'm just going to go ahead and take it all off. So as suspected, there's definitely a crack there that went all the way through, so it's completely split. The good news is I did buy this manifold locally and I do have a lifetime warranty on it. So as long as it's not damaged from, let's say, a crash, or if I modify it, they will be willing to fix it. Alright, so I did take it in to get serviced under lifetime warranty. Honestly, I feel like they kind of just gave me the get out of my shop treatment, because it's missing a huge chunk here, it's missing a chunk in there, and it's not even fully penetrated all the way through. So it was just like a quick patch they gave me. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to fix it myself. I'm gonna cut all that back out. It's still cracked. They didn't even redo the welds. It wasn't prepped properly. As I was cutting this out, I also realized that it wasn't even lined up properly. So after it cracked, it kind of shifted spots, and that's where they re-welded it. So this definitely had to be redone. And again, the reason I didn't initially fix it myself is because I didn't want to avoid the lifetime warranty, but I guess it's safe to say that I'm not going to go back to that shop. So normally you want to bolt something flat to the back of any flange that you're welding near, because it will warp with the heat. But in my case, it has the added benefit of actually pulling it back into position. You can see the gap that closes up as I tighten up the bolts here. Hey, you see that? There you go. Now it's a little more flush. It's hard to tell, but it definitely changed. I think that's what it needed. So this hose right here is what the shop forgot to do when they fixed it. It's pretty much a back purge, meaning I'm pumping gas into there so that while I'm welding it, the molten metal doesn't react with the oxygen in the atmosphere. Even though the weld doesn't look the best, you can tell that the weld is in there and not just sitting on top. So it's pretty flush with the rest of the manifold, which tells me the rest of the filler metal went inside and fully connected the pipes together. Here I used an inspection mirror just to make sure that the weld went all the way through. So besides the corner that I repaired, the flange was a little bit warped from regular heat cycles, just driving the car, wear and tear. But I did take it to a couple machine shops. The first one left this blue dye to, let me know where it really needed the help, but they told me that they didn't have the proper machine. After shopping around a little bit, I did find a machine shop to take care of me, and they flattened it pretty good. Now she's ready to go. So normally I don't have to do this tape method, but these are both eBay gaskets which don't really line up with the holes. Do not use eBay gaskets. This gasket lasted me a couple days and completely just ballooned. I ended up having to get a vibrant, but yeah, learn from me. Don't use these gaskets. It's all dirty. In the middle of installing the fuel system, I got sidetracked and installed the throttle body. Sunset lighting, a little bright. No! That was way too much. Oh my god. No. It's at this point I realized that I forgot the timing cover, so I just gotta get it back in there real quick. A little bit of that. Let's go straight over here. Here, I completely forgot that the catch can is supposed to go before the intake. Even though I hardly ever use the power steering, the car does have full power steering in it. It's just the belt that I'm missing to put back on, but since I work on it a lot, it's just not really a high priority to install it. It's just more things to take off in the future. This one first. No way, it's never been that hard. Today it was though. During this first start, that little whining noise had me worried that maybe the oil wasn't circulating properly. Honestly, I think it was a bad alternator at the end of the day, but that's what we're doing. We're testing the oil feed with the water bottle.
I know, that's what. Now you're good. Gonna fill a bottle.
And as you can see by the color of the oil, that was non-synthetic, so the only thing left is to do a quick oil change, and we're ready to go get tuned. Okay, then the pan is a bitch to carry.
Oh.
Ow! Where's the fucking hole? Ow! Now this motor that we just put in is lower compression than the other one, so it did need a little bit of adjustment as far as fueling. I did take out a little bit of timing to make it safe while I get to the tuner. Since we just put the stock motor back in there, we're not really going for crazy power, so we didn't put it on the dyno. We did a quick street tune, and then we did a little bit of revving to celebrate that we're back on the road. For those of you wondering if the car is quiet, this is a good example of how the turbo is louder than the engine and the exhaust combined. Now that the car is tuned, I can safely step on it, so let's do a couple of baby pulls. I have realized that most footage is from the inside of the car, so I asked my friend to get the outside point of view, and this is something that's even rare for me to see, so I think it's pretty cool. Just keep in mind the car is quiet, so if you don't have your volume up, it's hard to tell that I'm even pulling. Check it out. And now that she's ready, it's time to go into Mexico to see what she can do. Something that I've been wanting to try for a very long time that I've never actually tried once is a burnout. And I don't mean just in this car, I've just never tried a burnout in my life really. I guess as hard as I like to drive my car, I don't like to put any shock into it. I don't launch it actually. That's why I don't drag race. I usually like to roll into the boost, I don't want to break anything unnecessarily. So before I do the burnout, I do want to switch tires because I do not want to waste my ET Street Slicks that I have up front. They're still good, they have plenty of meat. So we tried a couple of tire shops, but it turns out that even used tires were not that much cheaper than new slicks. I decided I'm just going to kill my rear slicks and put that money towards a new set in the future. So just for the laughs, I try to step on it now that the tires are switched, but the car goes nowhere. It just immediately starts spinning and jumps to redline. So I've been told that my car has enough power to do a burnout in second gear. I put it in second, I held it up to the launch control RPM set at around 4,000, and then I just let go of the clutch. I didn't completely just dump it, but it was a pretty quick release. Also, take note at the fact that the tires burning is way louder than the engine, so I think we did a good job at making it quiet. So at this point, I only have two things running through my mind. That was a lot easier than I thought, and a tad bit more aggressive than I expected. I didn't know how long I was going to go for, but once I got the burnout started, I said, hey, I'm just going to hold it down, see what happens. So after doing that burnout, I realized I completely forgot to record from the inside of the car, and on top of that, the tires still had a little bit of meat left, so it would feel kind of like a waste getting rid of them now. So we headed back out to Mexico to finish off these tires, but this time I have a GoPro in my mouth. And this is the outside view of that burnout.
God, YouTube, that was intense.
I'm super glad that I stopped doing the burnout when I did, because any longer and these tires would have definitely popped. But since they didn't, I got lucky and I just drove up the street to get some used tires.
The turbo spins though.